Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are, Monday, the 8th of April, 2019. My name is Paul Wallace, and I'm here for the session 34 in the Admiral Markets Webinar Series on Mastering the Four M's of Trading. As always, we'll just begin with a quick risk disclaimer. Trading with financial instruments offered by Admiral Markets carries a high level of risk which is not suitable for all investors due to their complex nature. Before entering into client agreement or making a transaction, please make sure to read the terms and conditions of our service. Consult a specialist if necessary to understand the risks involved in trading. This presentation and the accompanying video is for information and educational purposes only. Online educational materials are developed by Admiral Markets and distributed by Admiral Markets Group investment firms for a global audience. Therefore, please take into consideration that the information in this session may not be suitable for everyone. As of August 2018, the regulation within the European Union differs for retail clients and professional clients. In our presentation, we use demo trading accounts, where all clients could still use a high leverage in a risk-free environment. Before opening a live trading account, please consider the differences between retail and professional trading terms. Retail clients benefit from unlimited negative balance protection. Professional clients at Admiral Markets UK receive a compensation of account deficits with the maximum payout of £50,000 as per our negative balance protection policy. There are many good reasons to trade with Admiral Markets as your broker. As you can see there, for two of the most popular trading instruments, DAX 30 and Euro Dollars, we offer a competitive trading spreads during the main trading hours. And we also offer both the MT4 and MT5 platform with our own Admiral Markets Supreme Edition. Admiral Markets is also a global brokerage and is regulated in many entities across the globe. If you want to speak to your account representative, they'll be able to guide you to choosing the most suitable environment for yourself. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I like to set the expectations that for me, it's to educate you about the four M's of trading so you can go away and begin to analyze any market and be ready to trade it. Also to help you raise your self-awareness about managing risk and managing yourselves. For yourself, ladies and gentlemen, I always appreciate we've got a broad range of experience. I'm operating under particular time limitations, so that means I'm a little limited in the depth of the topics that I can go into, but I'll always try and focus on tools that you can use yourself in your own trading from tomorrow. Most of you will now be aware of what the Mastering the Four M's of Trading is about. It's about understanding those four areas: markets, method, money, and myself. Because what we realize is when a trader has a sweet spot because they are mastering those four M's, that's when they tend to generate their best trading performance. If you want to look into those four particular areas in greater depth, well, then what you will find is that if you go back into the webinar archive, which can be found on the Admiral Markets YouTube channel and also on the Admiral Markets Global Facebook page, you'll be able to find all of the sort of preceding webinars in this series, and you'll be able to go into them in a good deal more detail. So, as always, you know what I talk about is it's important for you to have your own little routine, your own little process. This is what helps establish good trading behaviors, and that's what we focus on a lot in the sort of the first majority of the first part of this webinar series. We talked about having just a little routine that you can follow, because the more you do it, the more it becomes your automatic process, the way you actually sort of look to trade. So, what we talked about here is, some very simple front five. Okay, whenever you open a chart, what you're looking to do is step one, define levels of support and resistance. Step two, define if there is a trend. Step three, wait to see how price reacts at those key support and resistance levels. Step four, look for price action signals at support and resistance levels. And step five, identify whether it's part of a bigger chart pattern. This is just a simple series of steps that a new trader can open and just start to follow to help get them into the right routine, so they start building the right trading behaviors. We also covered the back five, the 5 R's. Okay, step 6, risk. Make sure you always define your risk, accept it, and stick to it. Step 7, know what your rewards are going to be. Will you be using a target or a trailing stop? Know what your exit strategy will be. Step 8, we talked about always ensuring you keep scrupulous records so that in step 9, you can improve your performance by debriefing your trades and a thorough trading review. And step 10, we talked about, how consistency and discipline are key. It's very difficult to be one without the other. And so by actually just repeating these, the right trading behaviors, that's the thing that will actually help you develop you to be the best possible trader you can be. So if you remember, what we've talked about over the last 3 weeks was about building our profiles, right? And we looked at, what are the kind of instruments we want to take a look at. I think last week we focused on the major FX pairs. So we looked at the dollar index and then went all the way through those 28 major FX pairs. And in previous weeks, we've looked at instruments in terms of we had a session on indices, we had a session on building a commodities profile, we also had a session on building an equities profile, and what we'll do is today a very quick one on crypto, but also the just pulling it all together. As always, as I said, these sessions are available in the webinar archive on both the Admiral Markets YouTube channel and also on the Admiral Markets Global Facebook page. So remember, I talk through this and go through it because the more times you hear it, the more it sinks into your kind of psyche about the way you should be trading. So remember, we talked about step 1. Define levels of support resistance. That basically means open a chart, start looking at the monthly chart, weekly and then daily, and draw in those horizontal levels of support and resistance. Also take a look for some of the psychological round numbers, and you can also help to look at fractals if that helps you identify particular levels. Second step is, define if there is a trend, all right? And you hear me say this every week that, a good trend will leap off the charts at you, okay? Don't force it. If you find yourself looking at it, trying to squeeze, squint your eyes and turn your head so that you can see if it is definitely a trend, I'll give you a hint, it probably isn't. Good trends leap off the chart, and it's important for you just to be able to identify what market environment we're in. Is it a case of the market is range bound, it's consolidating, or are we trending? Markets never trend as much as we like. They probably only trend some 20 to 30% of the time. So it's very clear, it's very important to know which market environment, excuse me, which market environment we're in. I do apologize. Quick sneeze there. And then what we're looking at, step 3, we'll wait to see how price reacts at key support resistance levels. What does that actually mean? Well, what we're looking for is a confluence of events to happen at key levels. And here's where we start to include price action setups. What we're looking for is, 2 to 4 things all to come together at a particular time and place. And that gives us an opportunity to do our business, to take a trade, to take a position in the market. Step 4, look for price action signals at particular levels. So we spent quite a few weeks looking at particular trading setups because, we're traders. Everybody likes to see trading setups. So, we looked at them, to identify certain setups like this at particular support and resistance areas, things like pin bars, engulfing candles, inside bars, 3-bar reversals, key reversal, momentum reversal candles, the combination between the key reversal and the 1, 2, 3, power of 20 reversal pattern, and also the 1, 2, 3 pattern. And as I said, those are all in the webinar archive, okay? So take your time to go and find them, go through them, and they will help you with identifying some simple trading setups. We also looked at a particular chart patterns, okay? We had continuation patterns, things like bull and bear flags, ascending and descending triangles and symmetrical triangles, and also reversals, head and shoulders, double top and bottoms, triple top and bottoms, and cup and handle. And you can find them all in the webinar archive. So for our future sessions, what we'll go on to, into early May is to looking at things like managing performance, how to recover from a trading slump, and how you can go about improving your overall trading performance. We'll have a look at a few shorter-term trading tactics over the summer months, and we'll also focus on some advanced trading tactics, all just building layer by layer upon the sessions that we're working on. So, just to recap, you're always looking as a trader to manage those 4 M's of trading. You always want to know and understand the markets, the methods, the money, and myself, and check that they're all in alignment, because if they're not, well, then that tends to be when we struggle. Constantly keep an eye on those particular 4 areas. So, as always, if you have any questions about this particular session, or if you've been watching the webinar archive and you need to speak to your account representative, then you can contact them. Just make sure that you check that that number, the particular number. The London number is now 02035 140 756. But always, you can email them on hello@admiralmarkets.com. And as I said, you can see all these sessions on youtube.com/Admiral Markets, and also facebook.com/Admiral Markets Global. So just bear with me a moment. I'm just going to switch across to the chart package, and then we'll have a little look at our piece for today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here's the Admiral Markets MetaTrader 4 Supreme edition here. I was just doing a little bit of work earlier for my real-time daily trading idea session, which is every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock London time. Be sure to join us for that. And basically what I'm talking about in these sessions is exactly what I do on the Tuesday morning session. Gives us shows you how to implement it in just an everyday scenario. But today we're going to look at cryptocurrencies. Okay, you can see we've set up previous profiles. So let's just here we go. I'm just going to find them there. There we go. Here we go. Super. So if I just bring down the profiles, you can see that we set up quite a few profiles there. Okay, we set up one for commodities. Okay, we set up one for equities. We set up one for indices, and we set up one for each of the individual FX pairs. So we covered Canadian dollar, euro, British pound, Japanese yen, Kiwi dollar, and also the US dollar. Okay, just to make sure that all of them are covered. So if for example, if I just look at the indices one, okay, just to take it up there. What we're always interested to see is how that sets itself up there, and we're in a position to just very, very quickly take a look at what is going on there. Okay, we can see that we're pushing to highs. I can see we see the FTSE, and I've talked about that on the real-time daily trading ideas. So we can see that there's a very quick snapshot, and that's the whole idea. But what I also want to do is I want to sort of today set up a cryptocurrency one. Okay, but I'm going to keep this quite simple. Okay, I've already have a profile here set up, and so I just want to use that as well. So what I'm going to do is what I'm looking at is what I have here is that. So actually I'm just going to sort of drag and drop into sort of some of the new cryptocurrencies. Okay, so here we have you can see it in the market watch on the left. I've got Bitcoin against the US dollar, and realistically I can just just quite literally just bring them in, drop them in there. I've got Ethereum there against US dollar, and I've got Litecoin and Ripple XRP as well in there. Okay, and we also have another one here. Okay, we've got Bitcoin Cash. Okay, Bitcoin Cash, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw that into there. Okay, so just to make sure that I don't, it doesn't stay like this because it automatically saves. I'm just going to save this profile. Okay, I'm going to just save it as crypto. Okay, very, very simple. Very simple. But what I want to do is I want to basically just build a little bit of an overall profile here on it. So so what I'm going to do is I just want to check what the be able to check what the sort of the dollar index is in on there. Okay, and I'm gonna keep the sort of the S&P 500 there, but my Dow chart I'm actually just going to put gold in there as well. Okay, which will just be of interest, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Just find it here on our thing. There we go. There we go. So just going to update update my profile here, so it's got it. Crypto. There we go. So, very quickly and very simply, I've now created a crypto, profile. Very, very simple. So, as always, let's start. Okay, so I've got down here Bitcoin. It's it's the daddy. Okay, so we can say that we've got our usual standard template on here. It's easy to see it on the weekly to begin with. All right. So, a standard, the template that we've shown is that we've got a blue 20 period moving average, a red 50 period moving average, and a green 200 period moving average. I also have fractals on here. Okay, you can see the little applets there. Okay, if you can't remember how to find them, just go insert indicators. Okay, down to Bill Williams and the fractals, and they're on there, and you can change them and adjust them to however you wish. So, as always, remember what we said. Start. We just have a very simple way to start. We're just going to effectively. I'm just going to here, make it a bit easier for us to work with. Just look to begin to sort of draw in those levels of support and resistance. Okay, I'm always interested to see where the extreme levels are. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit. Just looking at where the fractals are. Okay, I'm kind of curious when I see lots of particular areas that are touching. Okay, or when there was particular extreme areas there. I'm just kind of curious. I want to always be just identifying where those particular levels are. Just starting on the weekly chart. Okay, when I see extremes, when I see areas where it's turned away from the past. Okay, I start to get interested. Then when I go down to the weekly chart, well, of course, then we've got a little couple of other areas here that start to get curious about. Okay, and just drawing that in. Just wanted to tighten that up there. I'm also interested to draw this line. Those of you who joined me for the real-time daily trading this week, we were actually talking about for a while that this was a bit of a descending triangle building on Bitcoin, and we talked about it breaking that level, right, which it broke that level around about 5,700. Okay, 6,000, 5,700, and then it dropped all the way down to around nearly just towards 3,000, where the weekly 200 was. And actually, you can probably see that we've broken that. Okay, if we just extend that out, okay, a little bit further. Second, tighten that up. We can see that we broke that. I'm going to look at that in a bit more detail in a moment, just updating this. But if we zoom in, and then if I'm just going to look on the daily chart, okay, and on the daily chart we can see if I just zoom out there, if there are particular areas or zones that were of interest to me, well, kind of like the way that we had areas here, okay, that have been touching. As I said, there was also, really looking at that, there was kind of an area there, not surprisingly there. If I just tighten that up. Around about the $6,000. Okay, remember we talked about big round numbers. Go right in there. So we had 5,700, 6,000. Okay, and what I'm interested to see is if I just look at this on the weekly chart. As I said, there's that sort of supporting trend line down there. Okay, and we broke that recent last couple of weeks, and actually you can see we had a bit of a shift. Okay, and what kind of is curious to me is that here this week, okay, the week before last, is that end of March, that was the first time we really had closed above this kind of weekly 20 since sort of July, okay, July time of last year. So a good 9-10 months there. If I go down to the daily chart, okay, and then I start to look at the 200 period moving average, okay, and if I just zoom out here, we can see that actually you're looking around about sort of May of last year. So 11 months or so since price was above the daily 200 period moving average. 11 months, but that is what we've seen. That's what we've seen here. There, okay, we've seen the shift, okay, big lurch up, and what I'd actually like to see maybe is just drop back down here to around about 4,500. Okay, that's what I'd see. Could we drop down to 4,500, build up some support there, okay, by the time the 50 period moving average of 220 all in that area. If that sort of created a little bit of a support base there, then I'd be kind of curious to see if we could get a long out of there. Okay, so very simple. That's there's just looking there at the moment. Just we can see that the 200 period moving average is acted as very dynamic support. That trend line has been broken, and now you're looking at, well, my next level is what, 55.70. Okay, where that 56, 5700, where the weekly 50. Remember, we've not been above the weekly 50, really, not close above the weekly 50 since, once again, since May of last year. Okay, so it's 11 months or so since we're doing. It's been a little bit of time in the wilderness if you're a hodler, but where we are here is just waiting to see what will actually happen. So we can keep an eye on that. I think over the next couple of weeks, going to be rather interested in Bitcoin. So it's Bitcoin, and what I would say is that quite a lot of them are very similar. If I look at Bitcoin Cash here, okay, we're not going to see it's terribly different, right? So we don't have as much data gone, but that doesn't mean we can't just do our normal things. Here we are on the monthly chart. Okay, I'm just looking for extremes, where there's fractals, where it stands out, and that's what we can start to have a look at to start to from the monthly start to draw in our particular levels. We can just have a look here, okay. Go, just interesting. Once having a look at that. Super. Well, you can see it's not unusual, that it's be very similar. We had a real rally, and then it's just crashed and worked its way down. We've gone from 72, and now we've had that shift on. Okay, we've had the shift on. All right, it's big move, and we can see that down the 200 period moving average once again. If I go out, once again, look at that. Since May of last year, only 11 months since we've had a close above the daily 200. So there we are. We just had a big move up, and I'm just looking at the same pattern. See, will it sort of kind of drop down to around about 240, 250, and hold there before moving north? That's what I'd be particularly looking at as a way and means to help us. Just be keeping an eye on that. So it's Bitcoin. Then let's Bitcoin Cash. I do apologize. So it's Ethereum. Okay, let's have a look. We'll go through just our standard. All right, what we're going to do. We're going to start the monthly chart. We're going to find our extremes and particular levels. All right, where we can see the price has turned, or there's definitely been some movement where we can see where price has moved away from. I'm just drawing that in. Go down to the weekly chart. Okay, start to get a little bit of a better idea. Just sort of particular levels that are of interest to us. Just curious, just seeing where those particular levels are. What's of interest, and just making sure that we're keeping ourselves. There we go. Okay. So not unsurprisingly, I've just got $402. So it's not unsurprising. It's probably just a big round number. So I can just literally date it there. And there we go. Right, just gives a bit of a move on that, and there we go. We can see that Ethereum, has Ethereum, they've all followed pretty much a similar pattern over the last say 2 years, from a storming rally up to actually a bit of a collapse. But just seen it over the last couple of weeks, maybe a nudge towards maybe getting a little bit of oomph back in it. Okay, we can see once again it was end of April where it was last closed above the weekly 20. We can see that it did that before it actually fell its way down and just ran away there. Okay, and that's what we've had to sort of deal with and put up with there. And that's where we are at this. Particular moment. Okay, if I go down to the daily chart. Okay, once again, if I just zoom out, it's a case of we're just getting above that 200 for a long time. Okay, it's been a good while since we've been up there. We just really channeled. If you look at that, we just channeled in a very tight little channel there. Okay, very tight little channel there for March. Why I'll be looking at this is a case that here we go. We had a little bit of a So we had a bit of a working edge, grinding wedge up there. Okay, the daily 50 sort of acting as support. Once again, we're above that 200. Let's see if it will just rally, fall down. I'll be keeping an eye around about 150. Okay, that would be the that would be the 150. Looking for the confluence events. See if it fell back into this area, and if there was bullish price action, well then I'd be looking to maybe taking a small long position to see how that might work out for us. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Okay, I'm just gonna don't particularly want to entirely clutter up the charts here with that, so we can just there for the moment. Super. Had that. And then we've got Litecoin here. Okay, let's have a look at Litecoin. Kind of interest people, be a bit different. We can see that, you know, once again, just tightening up, drawing in our levels, get an idea. Okay. This. Go down to the weekly chart. Let's have an eye look at it. Always just drawing in particular levels. Now, the interesting thing to me about Litecoin here is that, interesting thing that kind of intrigues me is that, you know, we saw Bitcoin on the weekly chart. It dropped to the 200 period moving average, which acted as nice support. And here on the Litecoin, it actually went beneath it, but then it was also very clear to come back above it. And in some respects, it's had a bit of a stronger move, okay, from opening at around about 33. Okay, we've been as high as 100. All right, that's, you know, as high as 100. Let's just in 108. I'm just going to make that into a round number because that's when we're human beings and so they operate. Okay, what do you know? You know, we just literally dipped off the 100 last week, and if I was to go down to the daily chart, we'll see that it's just holding itself beneath there. If I just zoom out a little bit again, okay, we can see, you know, base there very nice. The bit, you know, in hindsight, inverse head and shoulders, always easy to see in hindsight, and then it rolls its way and punches itself up north, and it's, you know, just put in a nice move, and, you know, we'll be waiting to see. We'll be waiting to see if that has the whether it has the legs to break 100. If it breaks 100 and holds above it, well, then I'd be kind of very curious and very interested in it. Excuse me. So that was Litecoin, and here we've got Ripple. Okay, XRP. Let's just do that old one. Here we go. Do that from there. Just, you know, as always, monthlies down into weeklies. Look for the extremes. Look for the edges. Okay, see where you start to see there's been a kind of bit of you know, continuous sort of knocking about. We can start to get an idea about that. And you know, when I sort of look at that, you know, I'm curious at how, you know, we're just kind of between the weekly 200 and the weekly 50. We're around about the weekly 10 here. Just, I wonder if it's all just basically getting a bit close before it makes a big move. Now, interestingly, we go down to the daily charts. What I'm looking at here is, you know, the daily charts. We just looked at how price hadn't been above the 200 period moving average for quite a while on some of the other currencies. We can see that it has achieved that. It did achieve that on Ripple, but at the moment, whereas the others above, you know, what we can see is actually the 200 period is now acting as pretty much dynamic resistance there. Hopefully, you can see that. Okay, see that, you know, and what we need to see. What we need to see is we need to see price get above that and hold above it. Okay, hold above it. What's that price there around? Okay, about 37, 38. Okay, we need to see a price get above there, hold above it to give us an indication that it has, you know, long-term buying possibility. That there are long-time, you know, there are bulls behind it, giving it a little bit of you know, a bit of a kick up the bum, so to speak, to get it moving forward. So it's definitely something to, you know, for us to keep an eye on, okay, and then you know, just to see how that brings us forward. Okay, we'll just watch that over the next few particular weeks. What I want to do is look at, as I said, I've added gold in as well, which you might find a bit strange to think of, but what we've always talked about here, or let's say the sort of the crypto experts, is that people felt that Bitcoin in particular and some of the new cryptos would act as a better store of wealth than gold. So we can see that we can see from last year. Okay, we had a bit of a topple in the price of gold up until around about sort of kind of August time. Then we've actually had a bit of a run up, and now we're actually starting to come off the edge of that, which is interesting. At the same time that gold is coming off the edge of the price, the cryptocurrencies are starting to shift their price. Okay, are the two that closely linked? I don't know, but it's it's a curious thing for us to have a look at. They're being used for speculation. They're both being used as storers of capital. So it'll be interesting to see, how what if any relationship they build between them over the next coming months. So, as always, I just want to keep an eye on that, and it just doesn't matter whether it is gold or whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's euro dollar or whether it's Tesla. I'm just doing the same as I always do, just looking for particular areas where prices bounced around a great deal. Okay, where there's clearly been some movement, and then just basically looking to just update that as I get more info and data, so I've got an idea of what exactly is going on. I can just build the picture and see how or what that acts in comparison to the sort of the cryptocurrencies. So we've got gold there, S&P 500. Okay, S&P is just about that. Is just literally about keeping on top of the what is the best bellwether of the US economy, just to see how that is doing. We can see that S&P 500 is pushing to those all-time highs. Okay, which is quite fascinating, isn't it? Considering the move we had down, it's pushed to all those those all-time highs. Okay, which will be fascinating to see. That can it actually do that? Can it get above 2,900? Can it actually even go to 3? Well, we shall see. But it's well worth adding into your portfolio, even if you're just particularly a trader of cryptos and alts. Okay, that that you're not interested in trading the sort of small obscure ones, which is absolutely fine. You might have an interest in seeing that how the church deals with them, how the taxman deals with them, and how people operate with regards to cryptocurrencies. Okay, so keep an eye on that S&P 500. It's kind of clearly there is money going into those indices. So we want to keep an eye on the dollar, the index, the gold, and our cryptocurrencies. Just keep an eye upon them. So and then finally, we've got dollar index. Okay, so as always, dollar index. You hear me talk about this every week on real time daily trading ideas. Just draw in as always. Okay, monthly down to weekly, just drawing extremes and particular levels. Okay, and all right, just making sure we just can see them, identify them, so that we know where they are, and we can start to identify our particular levels of interest. And as always, go down to the weekly chart. It's very fascinating. You hear me every week talk about this. Okay, on the the real-time daily trading ideas. I'm just going to put that into there. Okay. There we go. So we just talked about. You've heard me talk about this. That basically it's knocked about between sort of 95 and 97.50 there. Okay, that's what dollar's been doing. It's kind of interesting. It's going sideways really. If you look at that, since September of last year, it's actually just been in that block there. Okay, as much as I thought it might be a head and shoulders pattern, it's actually just it's been churning its way back and forth in a block. Okay, and maybe there's a reason that we've seen funds head out of gold, out of dollar, and into cryptocurrencies. Okay, there might be people who have more technical insight on that than myself. I can only just trade what I particularly see. Okay, so that's just keeping an eye on that. So I'm just going to make sure I just save everything. It should do it automatically, but it's for the sake of just doing it quickly doesn't make any particular harm. So then, there we go. Very quickly, we have a crypto portfolio. I'm just going to put this on the dailies, put the gold on the dailies. Here we go. So, very quickly, I can take a quick look at the, at the cryptos that I'm interested in, and just see, how they are doing. Just put Bitcoin on daily as well. So I can see, Bitcoin has been rallying. Okay, Bitcoin is, Bitcoin. In fact, all the cryptos have rallied quite a lot in the last week or so. Whereas, the sort of dollar's been struggling in the last week. Oil has, S&P has been pushing to sort of, let's say, highs of the year, whilst gold has been sort of nudging its way down. So it's we can start to see very quickly what, if any, patterns are existing there between all of the sets. So there we go. So we've got crypto. Okay, we've got, if I look, as I said, we've got a crypto one. Okay, we have got an indices one. We have an equities profile, and we've also got ones for each of the big individual major rate FX pairs, and that allows us to do that. And so what we'll do in the next session is talk about, well, okay, we've developed these profiles, but how do we start to work? How do we start to work with this? How do we start to get an idea about how to use this? So this is just the looking at some of the equities one. Okay, if you remember, we were interested around about here to see, was it going to create a right shoulder, which it's kind of just it's trying to aiming to deceive us there, right? Facebook, if you remember, we talked about was that we looked at this real big long-standing trend liner. We got back up to, and it's kissing it, and we thought it might roll over, but it's not. It keeps going, but at the moment it hasn't found a way to get above and hold it. That's kind of curious thing. So we're just keeping an eye on that. Apple there, you can see how it's moved down nicely. It's been above the 200 and has just continued to just grind its way north. Netflix is just, if you look at that this year, basically it's nudging its way up, but it's not exciting any. There's nothing really terribly interesting going on there. If you want particular interest and excitement, well, what we can see is the Boeing. Okay, we talked about this, about it collapsing. It had a bit of a rally up there, but it's hit the 50-50 acting as dynamic resistance, along with the resistance at 390, 395, and actually we've dropped down again there. Okay, 375, but I still think 370 is a level there to be curious of. Deutsche Bank, okay. Deutsche Bank, we talked about it's breaking that trend line. It's been trying to hover around, and we thought it might get above it, but you can see yourself, it's just it's hovering around that kind of €7.30 there. So there's by having these profiles for equities, commodities, indices, FX pairs, crypto, we can very quickly start to build a scan of what we're actually interested in, and we'll do more of that next week and in the next couple of sessions for April, to start to see how how we go on going forward. Okay, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found that useful and enjoyed it. As always, I just ask by all means, you can join me at the Tuesday morning, London, 10 o'clock, real-time daily trading ideas. Look forward to speaking to you then. If not, hope you'll join me next week. And as always, I wish the best of success in your own trading, and I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks.